YouTube, how are we doing? Hopefully everyone is good. Welcome back to supposed to be, I think, episode 4 or 5. It's episode 3, I think. Basically, I filmed an hour sit down YouTube Q&A, going through all the questions as a Q&A would be, and the microphone wasn't on. So I am checking constantly that this microphone is on, because I didn't get annoyed, but I was like, that's annoying in regards to, so I did get annoyed, but it was good. I really enjoyed I really enjoyed doing it. It was a great episode. I thought to myself, that was my absolute best one that I've done. I'm not usually one to kind of like sit back and go, that was great, but I really enjoyed that YouTube Q&A. So now I had a feature. We answered some great questions. It was just a great chat. And then I checked it, went to upload it, and was like, I didn't even notice. I didn't even know. So we're a week behind. So I'm going to upload this. I'm going to get this out right away. It is the 23rd of July. So we've basically got today's questions. We have Monday's questions. And we also have last week's questions. So we've got a lot. As a result, this is not going to be an hour, because I've got a fair few things to do this evening still. And it's already 6:30. So basically, I'm just going to rattle through the better of the questions, which in a sense, quality-wise, probably isn't a bad thing. But I do enjoy doing the questions when they're not as fixated on, like, let's say, everything being, like, I don't know, they're not just the best questions. I quite enjoy some of the random sort of dialogues, because I feel like that could just help a few people out there. So I'm going to scroll back and try and find the questions from when I last filmed. I actually don't know when this was. So yeah, right, I've got them. So we'll go through them one by one, we'll go through the better ones, okay? So first and foremost, peptides. Can they be stored outside the fridge? Now, I have been asked this by countless people when it comes to peptides, GH, and the only thing I have ever stored within the fridge for myself is Increlex. The main reason why is I will go through, if I reconstitute something, I will go through it pretty quickly. I would look at it and think, personally, if I'm using it myself, the purity isn't going to change massively with the time that I'd use it. And I'm not somebody who's going to buy stuff in advance to last me 2 to 3 years or anything like that. That being said, if you do want to guarantee and consistently have the purity as high as potential possible, or likewise, you live in a really hot place with no AC or whatever, then maybe you could potentially think about it. But like, I personally am not going to the fridge every single evening to get all my peptides out to then do them. But maybe I could be making more progress. I don't fucking know. So yeah, that is that. Thoughts on Testosterone EQ for a second cycle? Now, the guys that have done more than a few cycles, what do we think to that? Because I personally would say, stay fucking away from that as a second cycle. Why not just take more test? Why not, instead of viewing compound choices or cycle choices as like first, second, third, just slowly escalate your test up to a certain set point and then implement a second compound that I personally would advise probably neither of the 2 compounds that are additionally on top of this for test. So I would personally say use test, drive the milligrams up, and then probably look upon a DHT, because it's going to be minimal when it comes to side effects. EQ, I really like, but the problem is EQ does control estrogen pretty high and aggressively, and if you don't have your test that high, so for a second cycle, you're probably not going to be running too high test. As a result, I would be on the side of not running super high, or I would not really be wanting to use EQ. As well, EQ metabolites take so long, so if you're doing like 400 tests, 200 EQ, which is probably a good reference range for maybe a second cycle or second exposure PD wise, let's say after a period of time building things up, that 200 EQ is going to take ages to get into your system. By the time it's into your system, it's controlling estrogen pretty aggressively, and then you might have to take more tests, which rushes the progression aspect of taking more milligrams. Well, I personally say, why don't we just use a DHT pathway drug, Primo Mastron, probably Mastron in this situation, minimize the effects and mask the effects of any estrogen, take your test to, let's say, where you need it to be, and then use the Mastron to drive up milligrams if need be. And realistically as well, you're not going to run your E2 into the absolute ground and feel like garbage. Likewise, DECA, from a psychological standpoint, is pretty impactful. For a lot of people, they feel a bit meh. You're also going to run into a good amount of water retention. It's going to aromatize into a non-bioidentical estrogen. You're basically going to be having things that are just going to be throwing a bit of a curveball. I think if you're an experienced PD user, test DECA and EQ probably wouldn't be a bad idea. But I also think there's just better ways to do things. And I personally wouldn't run this for myself or really with any other clients. So yeah, talk about current split, why you went to 4 days, upper, lower. Do you like it? Would you do it in the off season? So I like it in the sense of what I was doing before, guys. I was doing a pull push legs with a rest day either side of legs. So everything was getting done every 5 days. Every exercise was coming around also every 5 days. Now I had a slight rotation between like an A and a B rotation, but what I noticed was everything was coming around, and it was more so a case of, because I was doing everything every 5 days, my volume in each session was pretty fucking high. So let's say for that push and pull session, I was doing north of like 12 to 14 sets. That leg session, I was probably doing around 9 to 11, but it's legs, it's hard and heavy stuff. If I'm doing an upper lower, I have the guarantee of the 3 rest days, because I'm not doing a 4 or 3 day over a 5 day rotation where sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 5 over the week. And then also as well, I can kind of split the volume up slightly per body part within the session. So for my upper sessions, I have a pull focused upper where I'm doing, let's say 8 to 9 sets, and I'm doing 3 to 4 sets of push. And then my push focus, it's the other way around. So instead of doing 12 sets, 14 sets, and then doing it every 5 days, I'm doing everything now every 3 to 4, but I'm basically just doing things with a little bit less intra-session volume, and it more so over a month kind of equates to the same. And it also results in me having a set A and B, well, not even A and B, just a different rotation for each. So that's how I'm running things now. Would I use this in the off season? I'll probably use it post show, because I think it makes a good amount of sense for where I'm at strength wise. But would I use it like peak off season? Probably not, but we'll see. I think I do want to try out an off season with just 4 times per week training. As much as I love training, training's like the highlight of my day. If I could train 6 times, 7 times a week, I would. But for now, I would rather keep training sort of as focused as I possibly can be on recovery and what's going to be best for my physique, and obviously delivering the best look for stage. Right, next one. How to deal with lower back pumps when in gaining phase. So drink more, taurine, supplementation, electrolyte balance, sodium balance, good high quality hydration formula, not eating like an absolute fucking prick. It's probably going to be the best things that I'd look upon. Some people just are quite unlucky. I've never had lower back pumps, fortunately, which is really, really good. But yeah, those are the things I'll probably get on top of. Your feet or hands grown or anything, or anything. Anything, yeah, guys. We've had some growth somewhere. Heart growth. Cheers, guys. Everyone laughing at me. I'm dying. I've got left ventricular hypertrophy. Thanks to everybody. Cheers. That is a joke. Echocardiogram is going to be booked for the end of this year, so we will see. We will see. But fingers crossed. My hands, I wouldn't say, like, my hands aren't that big. Like, my wrists are fucking tiny as well. I have small joints. Like, I'm not somebody who's got big joints. Like, my elbows are small. My knees, I don't know if you can see, my knees are genuinely fucking tiny. Like, look at that. Look how small this is. I've got the tiniest, got little Asian girl joints. So yeah, but I would say for me, the only thing I've noticed, my feet have definitely got wider. I also think that's probably just being heavier, but like my feet are definitely wider. If I wear narrow shoes, it's uncomfortable. I'm a shoe size bigger now than when I was, but I used to be like a 9.5. Now I'm like consistently a 10. So yeah. Do you think running HGH without insulin is a waste of money? No, not at all. But why wouldn't we? Like, why wouldn't you want to utilize one of the most anabolic pathways possible with great synergy of GH? Like, if you're using GH, do you need insulin? No. But does it help? Yes, 100%. You know, like, sounds a bit weird. Could you have sex without lube? Yeah. But does it help? Maybe, you know, but definitely a particular kind of sex. Oh god, sorry guys, this is the 1200 test in my system. It's just, even though I'm in prep and I'm pretty lean and my sex drive is fucking dead, because I just thinking about sex all the time. Okay, what made you decide to go on your own instead of getting a coach? Nothing made me decide. I've just always done it on my own. Like, I put a story up today, so this isn't today's questions, but I asked, like, who would you guys say if I was to get a coach I should get? But like, when I came into the game, before coaching was like a thing, super popular, like there were coaches, but it wasn't like it is now, where everybody's a coach and like everybody has a coach. I was very much a case of doing it on my own, having fun with it, learning my body, and then I'd gone through multiple phases, and then I was just like, oh cool, I can just try it out and see how it goes. And so far it's been sound. It's been really, really good. Like, I think if I was to win a pro card and I'm doing my pro debut in America and the ins and out of US bodybuilding, I think it would be easier to get a coach. Also, I think it'd be quite cool to be over in the States. I'm going to do my pro debut in the States, and I want to do like the whole 8 weeks of my final prep. Like, or to be fair, my prep probably would be 8 weeks. I get lean at this point. My prep's not that long, but I would want to do like the vast majority of the prep out there. So let's say I'm doing New York Pro. whatever, pending second to last place finish. I would do 8 weeks out in New York, and it would be cool if I had a coach around there that I could be checking in with, him telling me what I need to do, just to basically try something different. I would really like to do that, but there's also a big part of me that thinks, like, until I stop progressing, like, why would I change things? Like, I've progressed at a really good rate. I'm very in tune with my body. I've got a real good setup right now with like feedback from Sanaya and let's say us doing it together. And I feel like I wouldn't really gain anything. I'm not going to adhere better to a plan. I also, as well, if I'm being honest, like, I think a lot of the stuff I see is like fucking stupid. Like half the stuff I see online from these top coaches, I'm like, that's retarded. And that's not a good coaching, like that's not going to be a good coaching dynamic in relationship. If I get a plan and I look at it and I'm like, yeah, that's retarded. And that's not me saying like I know more than these coaches, because there's some coaches' experience is fucking key, absolutely key. But I naturally would question things, and that's not good. I wouldn't want a client like that if I was coaching them. So it's a bit of a tricky one in that sort of regard. That's not to say, like I said, that I think that I'm higher up than any of these coaches or anything like that. The experience, their eye is probably going to be way greater than mine. They've been in the game longer. But if they're telling me to, I don't know, do half a diazide and to do pro fats for a few days after a high day or whatever, or do like just some stupid fucking things that I see that like doesn't make sense. They're telling me to cut water, and I'm like, why are we cutting fucking water? Like, it doesn't make sense. You know, like those are the small things that I would feel like I would end up just like not stressing out about. But I'm a very low stress guy. I can peak with no stress. I've got no internal stress within my body really ever. I'm very relaxed. But I know if I see something I don't really get, I'd be a bit tricky, and as a result I just would rather not for now. So we'll see. But yeah, have you always done 5 meals, found it better than 6 or 7 meals per day? I've done 6 meals. I just do 4 main meals and 2 shakes. I've done that for the last 2 years. So that's been my approach. I eat 4 main meals. I have 2 shakes, a whey iso shake, pre and in the morning, and then in the evening. That's basically how I have my day set up, and that's kind of what I've done. At the end of the day, MPS is MPS. I could also argue on my training days I have an intra workout, so I don't have 7 protein servings. There is nothing magic. It's dietary, nutritional values at the end of the day. Are you spacing out your meals? Personally, if you're eating 6 meals, you're probably going to be eating every 2 hours, most likely 2 to 2.5. Is that enough time for enough for a moderate to good MPS spike with obviously like food actually being digested? Probably not for most people. And as a result, are you then just constantly eating and then being lesser productive? Maybe so. Is it also going to be upregulating and bringing blood glucose up and down if you're eating carbs 6-7 times per day? Potentially so. Like, I'd rather just have my carbs situated around where I need them and then go from there. Okay. So yeah, signs of overtraining, such as CNS fatigue, still have insomnia 5 weeks post prep. Well, you kind of know it there, bro. Like you've got signs because you've got insomnia. Get that fucking sorted. Bring down drug load. Look upon cortisol management tools. Look upon, let's say, switching off, bringing down training volume. Like, signs are pretty simple. You'll know. You'll feel like shit. Like, I imagine you probably have this already. So yeah. How do I approach prep refeeds? What determines the amount of carbs? Data. Seeing where things are. Seeing response. Seeing how you look. Seeing sort of like, let's say, what works with you. My refeed days at this point are pretty fucking stupid, but I'm also 265 plus pounds in very good shape. So as a result, I can run a lot higher food than what the average person could. If someone was to be 220 and they were to do the same high days as me, they would look like they've binged super badly. It probably would be a binge to them in regards to like water retention and way they'd feel and all that sort of stuff, which would not be great. So yeah, all about data, based off body weight, based off response, all that sort of stuff. Have you used injectable YK11? Pretty crazy, man. I've not. YK11, I've spoken about this before, if I'm not mistaken. It's very much down the same sort of pathway. I say pathway. It's not down the pathway. It's basically a myostatin blocker, but it's pretty aggressive by the looks of things, side effect wise. And realistically, like myostatin, I would look at it and I'd be thinking, like, if you can be myostatin deficient naturally, sick. But I don't think myostatin is going to be the absolute key for muscle growth. In my opinion, with the current drugs that we have available to us, there are a few things that I've heard within the works that I think could have long-term benefit and long-term backing, but I just don't really subscribe to the thought process of YK11 being utilised and being a game changer. Like, look at it this way. Do you see the top guys using YK11? Like, have you ever heard of any Olympian? Have you heard of a Nick Walker being like, oh, I transform my physique off YK11? It's not. It's high test, high food, high GH, good amount of insulin around the workout window and stuff like that, and looking upon IGF pathways. Like, those are the things that we should look at. Like, if you don't see the big top dudes doing something, probably a reason why. So yeah, that's what I kind of think for that. Can you give your full day of eating with current portions? Sure, I'm going to video like a full day right now. Rest days are pretty low. It's less than 200 grams of carbs. Train days, 3,500 calories, pretty sound. My rest days are pretty low. Train days are moderate, 100 carb in my final meal, 100 carb pre and post workout, and then 60 carb in one of my other meals, and then 2 shakes. Fat's pretty low as well though on training days, so I kind of burn through that food pretty aggressively. What's the most overrated and underrated things? Overrated, I'd say for enhanced athletes, probably sleep. I think people let their sleep dictate a lot of what they do in the gym. And as a result, they'll be worse bodybuilders because they're so like, oh, I slept for 5 hours, so I'm not going to progress. I'm not going to go heavier because I feel tired. When in reality, the weight stays the same, bro. Like, if you're an assist athlete and you're taking PDs, you're taking GH, stuff like that, you can sleep pretty poorly and still make really good progress if you don't allow it to dictate your decisions. But a lot of people, they do. They drag their feet around, all that sort of stuff. Underrated, CPAP. Funnily enough, which is hilarious because I'm just mentioning sleep, but I think CPAPs are like for bigger dudes so pivotal when it comes to sleep quality, which I think is way more important than sleep duration. Underrated as well, I'd say routine, habits. Honestly, it's a bit of a cliche answer, sound like Cuba there, in regards to like, your routine's everything, guys, but it is like not having thought processes behind anything other than just getting it done, like not even thinking, just autopiloting. That's when your progress is probably going to be absolutely maximal. So yeah, those would be the things that I would come to mind for that. How hard/easy is it making calls when you're coaching yourself, especially during peak week? I'd say quite easy. I think like last year I made all the calls up into my final show. Because at that point I'd done 4 shows. Was it my 5th? No, I did 3 shows. But I'd been stage conditioned. I'd been away as well. I was in a different country. Just like looking at myself in different lighting. I remember just saying to Sanaa, like, I'm a bit of a mess at this point, just tell me what I need to do. And that was actually, funnily enough, my best luck. But like before, like I make all the calls. I kind of know what I'm going to do. I have a rough plan and I just kind of go based off body weight, response, visuals, and like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I don't really think you need to overanalyze. Like, peaking is really simple. You find a look that you're really happy with. You then continue to freshen up. You make stack design adjustments to bring yourself in either fuller, harder, drier, whatever. And when you're peeled, like legit peeled, you really can't fuck it up. And then you basically just bring up calories to a point where you've maximized fullness and then manipulate fluid through natural diuretic or diuresis methods. And then you land the look that you're happy with. Not every single peak is going to go exactly to plan. My best condition last year was at PCA finals, but I was also the flattest I've been. Like I was really flat for that show for me, but I also was taking enough compounds to make me look not as flat, so the judges wouldn't have said you were flat. I just knew looking back I was like, I could have been a bit fuller and stuff like that. But then likewise, the previous 2 shows I wasn't all the way in condition for where I need to be, and then the final show I nailed both fullness and condition and vascularity and just like general hardness, especially as the day went on. So I think it's one of those sort of things, like the last thing you want to do is panic and the day before, like the day of the show, be like, oh my god, I'm flat, I need to do loads of honey, or I need to go and eat 25 rice cakes. Like at the end of the day, on the day itself, it's going to be fluid, it's going to be sodium and stuff like that. That can be manipulated super easy. And then the days before in the build up, like be on the conservative side. Like nobody wins shows at the amateur level because of fullness. When do you ever hear someone go, yeah, he beat you because he was fuller? Doesn't happen. Does not happen. You win shows based off condition, based off shape, based off presentation, and based off muscularity. And all of that is things that you're not really going to manipulate massively in peak week. Like you can obviously manipulate your posing, you could manipulate maybe your condition but like you can manipulate it in a negative way by fucking spilling over and being an idiot, or taking a diazide when you weren't fucking bursting full because you should take half a diazide or whatever, and then waking up on the show day morning stringy and fucking flat as piss. So like these are things you got to kind of think about. Okay. Are kids/family on the cards after bodybuilding? Yeah, I'd definitely say so. It's entirely dependent on Sanaa. She wants kids. I'm very much on the case of whatever she wants. I grew up with just my mum, so I've not really got a massive amount of like family exposure. So I've never been the sort of guy to be like, I need a big family, I want to be a dad, I want to do this, because honestly I was never really around it. But that being said, that's not to say I don't. It's more so a case of like whatever Sanaa wants, which is going to make her happy, which will make me happy. That's not to say I don't want kids. It's just one of those where, because I was in such a small family growing up, I've never been somebody who's thought to myself, I'd love a family. I would like a family, but I want the best for the people around me. And obviously if Sanaa wants a family, I will happily have a family. So yeah, I'd like to say in the next few years, that'll be something that we're working towards. we already kind of were thinking about stuff like that, but like obviously not right now. I've got a lot of shit to do. Sanai's got a lot of shit to do. And with kids, you have to dedicate your entire time to them. I wouldn't want to be having kids if I still have like goals, major goals I still want to tick off, and I can't be fully there for them. If I'm like, sorry, I'm going to the fucking Tampa Pro, got to be away for 6 weeks. Like, yeah, it's doable, and there might be a year or two that I have to do shit like that, because I'm not just going to retire from bodybuilding the second I have kids. But I also think to myself as well, I want to be the best father figure that I can be, and also as well like the best soon to be husband and stuff like that. Like, there is more to life than bodybuilding and coaching and stuff like that. Like, would I be doing this video right now at 7 p.m. after waking up today at 5:30? Like, so I've been awake for 13 hours and I've been on the laptop. Would I be doing this if I had kids in the other room? Absolutely fucking not. As a result, does that make me, let's say, not, would that make me, let's say, market myself as well, or would that make me a worse coach because I'm not investing my time as much? Maybe so. And as a result, like, that's not going to be good for my business right now, and therefore I wouldn't be wanting to have children right this second, you know? Like, I've got a lot of shit I still want to do. So yeah. What's the correct way of using Clen? I'm 13 weeks out, want to be ready early. Correct way is using it when you need to, bro. Like, it takes what it takes, man. I think you could run it from 13 weeks. Only thing I'd consider is if your health markers are out of line, blood pressure is elevated, the thought of an elevated heart rate, elevated blood pressure, it doesn't sound too good. But taking small amounts for a longer time, there's loads of studies on like low dose Clen for extended periods of time that don't really seem to yield too many negatives. That being said, I think it depends on the individual. Some people can take loads of Clen, some people can take minimal Clen. It fucks them up. I think if you can get on top of like L-theanine, cortisol management supplements, especially in the evening, to kind of bring down any side effects, escalate up the dose when needed, not just chase fucking Clen shakes and stuff like that. And then potentially at this point as well, leverage SLU, 5-amino 1MQ, MOTS, low dose Reta. I think you'll be in a really, really good spot. Otherwise, all right, Black Ops 2 Zombies, Olympia or M14. I'm on the team of neither. Stick with your pistol until you get enough points to buy a war weapon or a spin on the box, but I'd probably buy an SMG. I think objectively the M14 is better, but I think the Olympia is a bit more fun when it comes to just vibe, especially the Pack-a-Punch version. Jesus Christ. You play any of the Black Ops 1 or 2 re-released? Yes. Loads. I say loads. I'm like level 25 on Black Ops 2 and level 12 on Black Ops 1. I played a little bit of the zombies. I got the map packs as well. I played so much Black Ops 1. I didn't actually play that much Black Ops 2 when it came out. So that's why I'm playing that a bit more, to kind of experience it like as if it was its peak. And so far, I'm impressed. I think both are fantastic games. So yeah, take on coach is saying to bodybuild, if you lose X amount of weight, you can have an off-plan meal. So this is, I think, from one of these Scottish coaches, because the guy who's asking this is a Scottish dude who's also a PCA pro, really good bodybuilder, by the way. And if I'm being completely honest, I would say if I had a coach, or I was coming into the game and my coach was telling me, if you lose X amount of weight, bro, you lose 2 kilos. If my coach was saying to me, yeah, I can lose X amount of weight, and as a result of that, I get an off-plan meal, there is not a single chance I'm sticking to plan. I am dropping my calories. I am doing more cardio. I am going to speed run myself, if I was a first-timer, to that body weight target, so I can go, coach, I'm 2 kilos down. What's the off plan? And then I'd eat it, go up in weight, and then do the same again, which is just not going to be good. This is fucking stupid. I think if you're an experienced dude, and like sometimes I would say to somebody, yeah, man, once we get another 5 pounds off, we're probably looking at a high day, something like that. That makes sense. But I think like if you're a first timer and your coach is telling you something like this, I personally would run a fucking mile. Okay, that's what I'd say there. Just started SLUPP. How would you dose it when the tabs are 10 milligrams? Can't break it because it shatters. Why split it, bro? High dose SLU is fantastic. The only times I wouldn't be running high dose SLU is if I was in the off season. So if you're using it in a prep or a diet based setting, 10 milligrams more than you could do way more. You start off 10 milligrams, crack on with that, escalate up if need be. Yeah, that's what I'd recommend for that. Any plans for some travel after the pro card get secured? New Zealand is calling. Yeah, I think New Zealand, Australia, like that sort of like place in the world looks fucking cool. I've never really had like the want to really go there, if I'm honest. Like, I don't know. I think it's, again, I've never really had people around me that have gone there, so I've never really thought to myself like I would like to go there. That's nothing personal towards any Kiwis or whatever, New Zealanders. But yeah, it's never really been something that I've thought that I'd like want to go. But that's not to say I won't in the future. But right now, no immediate plans. Do you ever use Band 15? No. Band 15 is a mitochondrial uncoupler. So to be taking that within a fat loss phase while also taking other compounds, e.g., let's say, for example, SLU, MOTC, Reta, I just think that can lead into a fair few potential long-term issues, which I don't really like the fan of personally. I don't really like the idea of. So yeah, that would be something I would maybe not use personally. I think maybe at the start of the fat loss phase, but as you get deeper into the fat loss phase, I probably wouldn't be utilising Band 15 personally. Should Lantus pens actually be thrown out after 28 days first use, or is that bullshit? I didn't even know this was a thing. I have a Lantus pen. Here actually, funnily enough. I have only used this on my high days this prep, and I don't know how long is. Yeah, there's loads left. Yeah. If I've started this and I don't put Lantus until post prep, which is probably the case, this would have been a few months. Am I still using the Lantus pen? Yes. That being said, if you die, please do not blame me. That being said, you won't be able to blame me because you'll be dead. So yeah, please don't die, guys. Okay, maybe you should listen and not listen to a random meathead on the internet. How would you introduce GH for the first time, knowing what you know now? So I implemented GH, in my opinion, like kind of how I would implement it, like let's say for most people now. There's just a few things I probably would do a little bit differently. So with GH, I would say save it till post prep after a diet, allow for a week or two of normality to resume after the diet. So like, let's say get your baseline food up. If you had any planned meals, get them out of your system. You don't want to be putting it in while there's a massive influx of calories. You're just going to be water retentive as fuck and look like shit and feel like shit. So allow for some like natural water and body fluctuations to occur. Then start out with a GH. I would probably start out with 3 IUs pre-bed at probably 5 times a week. You can do daily, but I'd say 5 times a week just to kind of see and assess response. Maybe do it like, let's say, the days you train or something like that, and then the 2 rest days, just don't take it or whatever. So the days you train 5 times a week, do it 5 times per week, 3 IUs. I would take some insulin sensitive peptides, so I'd take low dose SLU, I'd take some low dose Reta, I'd take some MOTC. I would be tracking my blood glucose in the morning and seeing and assessing there, and then I'd be slowly escalating up the dose, going to 4, going to 5, going to 6, and probably peaking around 6 while I'm escalating up my dosage of PEDs within that phase. And then I'd probably peak at that and then go and then bring it back down, maybe in a cruise to 3 to 4, and then maybe go to 7 or 8, and then go from there. I think nowadays with how cheap GH and how easy GH is to get access to, a lot of people are speed running the process of GH, running into loads of water retention issues, and then as a result they're putting themselves into a pretty negative position across the board where they're basically just speed ran what their body can handle GH wise, and ending up like very, very watery, very, very insulin resistant, and it's not very good, especially with the fact that the like Chinese GH is a little bit more on the water retentive side when it comes to kind of how things are. So yeah, those would be things that I would maybe potentially consider and have some thoughts towards. Okay, so that's going to be that. Now those are the best questions from last week that I didn't answer. So I did answer, but they didn't fucking record. On to the one from the other day. So I got, am I hungry at this point of prep? So objectively, I probably am pretty fucking hungry, but I don't really perceive hunger at this point. And you get better skilled at that. Like I'll have a few first timers say to me, "Oh, bro, I'm so hungry," or I'm starting to notice hunger, and it's like I can't really tell. Like I don't ever think to myself I'm hungry because I don't really think about it. It's just a case of like I probably should be hungry. Like I objectively am hungry. On my last high day, guys, I did like 9,500 calories, and I only felt full towards the end of the day. And if you had put a gun to my head, I could have probably had another meal or two. I could have definitely had some more food before that final meal, 100%. So is that normal? No. Therefore, I am objectively hungry. But am I actually perceiving my hunger as anything other than just, this is just how my body is, I'm lean? No, I don't think about it. I don't think of anything other than like what's on my plan. Like right now, like I said, minimal food. I've had 2 carb meals today. I've done 40 minutes of stairs. I've done 16k steps or 14k steps. I've got 2k steps more to do. Like, am I hungry? Is my body tired? Yes. But do I think about it? No, I'm not thinking about it other than just what do I need to do and what's my meals and stuff like that. Like I've got 75 carb to end the day. Sick. Cool. Could that be 200 carb? Yeah. Would I still be hungry? Yeah. It's just part of it. So am I hungry? Objectively, yeah, but I don't think about it. Like, I'm not hungry because I'm not thinking about it, and like I don't perceive it as anything other than just this is what I gotta do. So yeah, rebounds versus reverse post show. Did my first rebound, 14 pounds under cap, feel watery as fuck. So the guy asking, I didn't want to call him out in a negative way on stories, but like I know who this is. Really nice dude. I basically said, like, I kind of alluded to it. I think if you were leaner, bro, you probably wouldn't be as watery. And also, let's be honest, is it a rebound or is it a case of, oh, I've just ate a few off-plan meals, gained a bit of water, and then your baseline food is high enough to the point where you're probably not going to drop off that water, bro. Like, this is a guy who, like I said, he definitely could have been a bit tighter for his shows. If you like legit peeled, rebounds work really, really well. If you're not, and also as well, you're naturally a waterier sort of dude, this is something that I probably would be a bit more mindful of, like going a bit more conservative, because a lot of people, like I said, they eat off plan for a day or two. They're like, oh, I'm rebounding, it's okay, and then before they know it, they're a watery fucking bag of shit. This is not, again, I don't know how this guy looks, but I know he's a great dude. He's got great potential in the game. But I would just say, like, personally, clean up the diet, increase fluid, pull down sodium, stop eating off fucking plan if you are, and maybe just assess output and cardio and stuff like that. Like, and just be mindful that, like, in a rebound, you will probably feel watery. You probably will have a bit of a water rebound, and eventually things will normalize and things will stabilize. So yeah, what exactly made me double in size, guys? Fucking follow me. That's what it is. Increlex, GH spam, loads of tests. No, I haven't doubled in size. I'm bigger this year. I've done everything perfectly, and I know everyone says that, but I have. I do everything to the fucking dot. I live my life. I have my gym, my flat is 5 minutes away. My routine is the exact same. I eat at the same time. Doing that while then also being injured last year and then having a perfect post-show rebound setup. So it was the first time I ever run a rebound. I was super fucking adherent. Everything was getting done like it was a prep. Into the off-season, exact same adherence. Training was so good at the back end of prep, so I had no latency of, like, training acclimation of getting back up to peak strength. And then doing that for a period of time while taking the data from last year's prep, starting out 17, 18 kilos heavier. And then that's not going to be 18 kilos of stage weight, but it's going to probably be a good 9 to 12 in less than a year. But a lot of it is just going to be confirmation of what I was doing and then basically just improving and optimizing everything. So yeah, like, I've not doubled in size, but I'm a lot better in the areas. And also as well, I was injured through my legs, so a good amount of the weight is through my legs, good amount of the weight through my legs, good amount through my arms. If you're a limb dominant bodybuilder at the amateur level, it's going to be more impressive. My actual chest, I don't think is loads better. My actual back, I don't think is loads better. I'd say my glutes are better because I've been able to hinge, but my glutes were really good before. They've just come back. My quads are at the level they need to be now, which is good. But then being said, like, they still could be bigger and better. I had a year out from leg training, but, like, my legs last year were massively downsized, and my arms are just bigger because I've trained the fuck out of them. So yeah, do you keep anabolics in during your rebound? So yes, I pull out harsh compounds. So let's say, for example, for myself last year, I implemented or incremented GH insulin. I had that around the workout window. I had a good amount of Lantus. I pulled down peptides to the point of, like, just basically the minimum. So I wasn't spamming loads of peptides or anything like that. Just enough to kind of keep things ticking over in the background. I also, as well, kept in thyroid and very low doses lipolytics to basically just keep things kind of regulating within the background. Pulled out tren, pulled out any orals, and kept androgens away from that. So my test, mast, and EQ at the same level. So I think it worked out at about 65% of my total androgen load, if we're including obviously orals, peak week orals, and tren. So, like, take out the harsh compounds, keep the things that are not as impactful. I ran that for 4 weeks. I was originally going to plan to run it for 6, but my body told me to fuck off by the end, basically. Which would be that. In your opinion, how long is too long between shows, i.e. prolonged off-season? So I put a story about this, and I spoke about it because I think a lot of people say, I'm going to have 2 years off, or whatever it's going to be. And their 2 years off, honestly, is a waste of time, because after 3 months, they're still on point. Another 3 months, they're okay. Then after that, they just start to get worse. How many times do you see somebody that they're on point post-show? They're adherent, they're doing their cardio, they're doing their steps, they're tracking their shit, and then eventually they're just kind of just getting fatter. And it's because their routine's out of whack. They're not posing. They're not checking any variables. They're not tracking their steps. They're eating off plan a lot. And they're then just getting consistently worse at a pretty rapid level, which honestly happens so often. And that's when I'd say that off season is too long. I personally am a big fan of getting on stage or doing a prep every 8 to 10 months, 8 to 12 months, depending on how things are, just to kind of reset and almost as well motivate yourself again. Because as you are deeper into the off season, like, no one wants to pose when you're fucking a year and a half into an off season. Nobody gives a fuck about steps because you're just I'll just do them all in one. Or cardio, it's a fucking chore because it's not really much purpose to it. You're just like, I'm just doing this cardio just for what? For my fucking heart, for health? You know what I mean? Like shit like that. And I know that sounds to some people that's a bit silly, but that's genuinely how people's brains work. So I would say for an off season, like keep the off season where you can keep your prep routine and productivity. That's going to result in, let's say, you once you lose that, that's when it's time to call it. And for me, I know this year, this has been the shortest off season I've ever had. It's probably been one of the best because I knew I did not have time to be slack. I did not have time, and I couldn't allow myself to let those standards drop down when it comes to where things are. So I would definitely say these are things that I would really try and consider and get on top of, okay? What's the most you push food in the off season? So in 2024, I got to 134 kilos, which is 294 pounds, and my baseline food was 6,700 calories on training days plus 2 to 3 of Sanaya's homemade cookies at probably 300 to 400 calories per pop, per one, pre-bed. Well, I say pre-bed, it wasn't directly pre-bed, it was with my final meal. If I didn't have those cookies, I would drop like literally 6 to 7 pounds within a day or two. It was a joke. So it was 7,500-ish calories every single day. Well, and this wasn't just for like a month, this was for like legitimately close to 10 months. It was brutal. So challenging. That was the hardest off season I've ever done. Rest days were like about 4,500 to 5,000, but I'm pretty sure every other rest day I was having an off-plan meal to finish the day, and like my final meal on the on-plan rest day was like an unlimited bowl of chicken and rice, an unlimited bowl of chicken, rice and fajita wraps, or like pasta and fucking, let's say, beef and stuff like that. Like it was like unlimited amounts of food with the cookies on top and stuff like that. And it was like doing that force feeding for months on end. Like anybody can eat 7,000 calories for a couple of weeks. I'm convinced, especially if you're a bigger dude. Doing that for months and months and months and months while keeping steps up so you can continue to eat, doing cardio, it was brutal. Like that was the hardest off season I've ever had when it comes to food. That was harder than I feel, like way harder than where things are for me now. Way hard. If you said to me, go back to that or stay how I am now, fucking hell, I would stay how I am now without question. So yeah. So, how much SLU are you using? I've been on 100 milligrams this entire prep plus. We've recently bumped it up. I'm at 200 milligrams of SLU. That is a lot of SLU. In my opinion, it's a lot of SLU. That being said, you look at the studies. According to the fucking rodent studies, it's not. So yeah, I've been on 100 milligrams. It's a lot. I'm pretty fucking hot, but it's only going to be for a short period of time. Thoughts on going beyond ideal peak off-season body fat in order to grow more muscle? I think for some this makes sense. I also think for some this is just a lazy excuse to get fat. We don't want to get fat, okay? The last thing we want to do is get fat. That being said, if you're somebody who can push the boundaries, you stay relatively sensitive, you're somebody who doesn't gain loads of like shit weight, I think pushing the boundaries and just getting heavy makes sense, especially if you're in your younger years. Like when I was 16, 17, I got up to 106 kilos. I remember I was 106 kilos at 16 and I was lean at like 73, 74. So I got like 30 kilos in like probably a good 18 months of just eating a lot of food. I was objectively soft as fuck, but I also made way more progress, and when I dieted back down, I had made considerable strides forward, especially against the peers I was with in the gym who were similar age. So if you're young, you can sleep, you can fucking eat, you can train super hard and super heavy, and you've not got loads of stresses on, I would definitely say do it. Like everyone should have an off season or two where they push the boundaries body fat wise. That 6,700, 7,000 plus calorie day, off season that I said for 10 months, that objectively I was soft as fuck. If I put some photos up, if I sent them to, I don't know, a coach who didn't know me, they'd probably go, bro, like, to be fair, some would probably say I could probably do more, but some would say, bro, like this is like fucking, you're fat, like this is gone past the point of productivity. But I held that body weight, and then it allowed my body to basically get comfortable being heavy and being large. So something to kind of definitely remember. But then also, like, I think again, if you're somebody who you get soft, you feel fucking like, let's say, like you feel lethargic, you feel unresponsive, it's probably not going to be the sort of things that I'd be kind of looking to do. I think it entirely depends on genetic set points and where your body feels most comfortable. Okay. Opinions on using supplements for digesting better meals, e.g. GDAs, digestive enzymes, etc. I think honestly, one of the biggest scams within the fitness industry is GDAs and digestive enzymes. If you are within the back end of a prep and your micronutritional values are low and your body is super fucking hungry, you're probably going to need some form of digestive aid, either greens powder or like a Digest Max with a good quality amount of, let's say, digestive supplements in, something like a glutamine as well is probably going to help. That being said, if I'm being completely honest, if you're a guy eating a well-balanced diet, you're in a phase that isn't too extreme, either peak off-season or peak prep, I personally think just keep steps in between meals, make sure you're eating clean, make sure you're eating a balanced diet, and I don't really think you need to be utilising a GDA. Like, I'll see natural guys use GDAs, and it's like, why? Like, you're fucking 85 kilos. Like, just go for a walk, do some cardio. Like, people now are not doing cardio because of the health. No, sorry, not for the health, but the fact they don't want to do cardio because steps are sound. But then they're then wanting to take GDAs, and it's like, you could just do cardio and be more insulin sensitive, and then you don't need to take a GDA. Like, you would have thought of that. Who would have thought of that? Wow, what the fuck? Or just do steps in between meals, or train really hard, or believe it or not, put on fucking muscle by training, and then as a result, you don't need a GDA because your body's gonna be more susceptible to nutrient uptake because you have more muscle. So yeah, I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Strategic cheat meal, AM training, cheat meal as last meal, fasted workout next morning. So if I was to, I would never have a cheat meal pre-workout. I think having a cheat meal pre-workout is the most stupid thing you can do because it's going to throw off your stomach. You're not even going to digest the food. You're going to, you might get a good pump because of the sodium, but like, honestly, you probably have a lot of the foods that digest in your stomach. You'll feel pretty fucking naff. It's not going to be great. I think potentially the night before, so like if you're training in the morning, and you're having, like, let's say an off-plan meal the day before and it's a weaker body part day, I think that makes some sense. But I also think as well, like, a lot of people will do stuff like this and they're eating 3,500 calories, and then they'll have a burger and fries. They'll go out for a Five Guys and have 5,500 calories. And like, in my head, I'm just like, would you not rather have that 2,500 calories split up instead of it being in one meal, being, let's say, in your pre and post workout meal at 250 or whatever, to equate for the same amount over the other 4 to 5 days of training, which is going to yield way more progress. Like, I would do this if you've maxed out your food, relatively speaking, and you're eating a lot. If you're somebody who's like, oh, my baseline calories are at 3,400, but I do a burger and fries or a pizza the night before legs, and my leg session's great, and it's like, well, you could just split those calories up and just put them into the pre and post workout meal on every other workout, and then as a result, you'll have more muscle, get better training performance, get greater food, get greater baseline food. So yeah, I think that's probably something to think about. And then we'll finish on the final one for today, because my laptop is super low and I haven't even got into the questions today. So I'm gonna I'll film 2 episodes. I'll do another one over the weekend. It'll be out from when you guys watch this. The next one will be out 3 or 4 days later. So you're in for a treat, okay? So last question, we have most misused PED. Okay? Now, if people are still watching, put down in the comments, what do you think it is? I'm going to say flat out, in 2026, testosterone. We have all the top guys nowadays, safer use model, low test, high DHTs, moderate test, whatever it's going to be. And I think this is one of the most stupid things that is being pushed in the industry, because the guys that have all got to the top have ran higher tests. Now, that's not me saying you need to run high tests. You can easily grow on lower to moderate test, but could you grow more? Testosterone aromatizes to estrogen. The benefits that estrogen has within its IGF pathway, especially with GH, is going to be fantastic. Your body also needs a stable and consistent amount of DHT. Testosterone is bioidentical. Our bodies know exactly what to do with it. As a result, if we can look upon one compound to leverage as our main anabolic, as an enhanced open or potential open bodybuilder, why wouldn't we want to utilize testosterone? Like, I think this is one of those sort of things that, again, is being pushed so heavily at the top, where it's like, yeah, cool, you've got a good base of muscle, you're an IFBB pro, you're Olympian, you can probably run slightly lower tests and more DHTs and stuff. But I also think as well, like, when it comes to pure cosmetic, we're seeing so many physiques get faded because they're running super, super low estrogen, especially year round. They're not feeling the best in the gym, and as a result, they're making less progress. And in prep, they're flattening out, they don't have that estrogen balance, and as a result, they're taking things that are just not going to be too good. So yeah, in my opinion, personally, guys, I would say testosterone is probably the most misused, especially nowadays. That being said, you go back 10 years and you're looking at Reddit and people saying 500 milligrams of testosterone is your first cycle, or you're having American coaches that basically TRT is a gram if you're a bodybuilding prep coach. I think that's also fucking stupid. So I think it kind of goes both ways, but that would definitely say, for me, the number one misused PED. So that's going to be everything, guys. I think we're about 40-ish minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully everyone's enjoyed. I will do the questions that I got today. We got a lot. I haven't actually checked the question box for today, like, other than just answering a few on my story. But if we were to look here, we have, let's see. Oh yeah, crikey. So yeah, we've got a fair few to get through. for the next episode. So I'm gonna screenshot these. I'm gonna obviously get them done on the next video. If everyone enjoys, please like, comment, subscribe. I will say as well, story tags is much appreciated for stuff like this. Like, it genuinely means a lot. It will help obviously more people reach out, obviously like, comment, all that sort of stuff. Like, the algorithm on YouTube's a bit weird, so like all the engagement is genuinely much appreciated, because it's not like I've got a super, like, there's not like a cast with me or anything like that. This is just me sat here chilling, giving you guys my time. So please support the boy, help him out. Otherwise, hopefully everyone's enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that sort of stuff. Bye bye, see you later.